Yep, and it looks like we have StimulatingFly coming up against, what was his name again?
Limits.
Limits, yeah.
So during the button check, we saw as a trainer. Looks like it is going to be trainer versus Bowser Jr. You know, as much as I rag on this character, StimulatingFly does work with Bowser Jr.
Yeah, he's it's such an unfamiliar type of character. There aren't a lot of people that actually do tend to go for Bowser Jr. And like when you're playing him, it takes a little bit for the adaptation to come in. He's got a lot of unpredictable stuff.
Well, we can only hope for the best for Limits as we start on Pokemon Stadium 2. And I feel like a lot of this matchup is going to be predicated on how well Limits can actually get in on StimFly and try to trap landings after pushing him off stage.
And Bowser Jr. is actually on the heavier side, is he not?
Correct. He, I don't know the exact value, but I believe he's right on the verge of the super heavyweights.
Yeah, so I think Limits he's got to make sure to take control of the neutral when he has Squirtle out. Squirtle, a lot of his stuff is he takes a lot of accountability when he dashes in like
Ooh!
That was nice.
All right, it looks like Ivysaur is the one StimFly's going to have to worry about first.
Is that true? I never know if it's true.
The
yeah, the Nair Vine Whip.
I think at certain percentages it's true. It used to have a really wide window,
right,
but it got adjusted, and now, to my knowledge, it's either thinner percentages or just a straight-up DI read.
Right. And, yeah, I think here's where Limits has to make sure that he takes like a lead in strides, because Squirtle's combo game is ridiculous, especially on someone like Bowser Jr. He's not going to be able to get away from stuff like this.
Yeah, but keeping tabs on Bowser Jr. is kind of the hard part because the character's deceptively swift, and once you get into the air, he's got a decent amount of combo breakers that Limits is going to have to watch out for.
Definitely. And surprisingly enough, Bowser Jr. actually has a lot of like really decently good disjoints.
True.
His forward air and back air like just tend to hit you when you're not realizing, wow, that was good.
Yeah. Another disjoint to talk about, the one that comes out during up air and the second half of up B.
That up B is such a mind game because it's honestly just a frame trap. If you air dodge, you can just if StimulatingFly is good at that, he can just wait for you to air dodge and hit you. But Limits is having a tough time getting in right now. He can't seem to. Maybe he should play a little bit more patient, a little bit more back. Use Ivysaur's projectile game to have a little bit more opportunity to get in.
Yeah, that's where Ivy tends to lay stronger when fighting against other type of zoning characters because they have pretty limited ways to get in, generally speaking. With Bowser Jr., you rely a lot on the Koopa cart, and besides that, his buttons are somewhat slow. And I feel like where StimulatingFly really shines as a player is just really solid positioning.
Nice. Yeah, that was so good. A lot of that was just Limits got Vortex pretty badly that second stock. He just could not find a way back to the ground. He was really stuck in that, like, Bowser Jr. He got, like, 60 off that one up air string, and that was it for his stock. Like, he had no idea what to do.
No, yeah, Bowser Jr.'s up air is one of the fastest in the game and is probably one of his better buttons. I'd have to ask StimFly's opinion on that, but it's ridiculously fast, combos into itself, and it works really well for the overall game plan of just juggling until you push your opponent out to the ledge.
Right. And honestly, he's pretty good at that, like juggling in itself. He's got good fast aerials, that up air like you said, and yeah, I don't know. I think people underrate him a lot. I think he's actually really good.
StimFly as a player, absolutely, very good player. And
and he's switching to MetaKnight.
You have to see how this works out for him. This is another character that's heavy on the juggles, so at least the same concept is there, but certainly a different kit.
Right. There we go. There's the opening. He's just not getting the, like, like if I were to mention, like Quid, once he gets his opening with Squirtle, he's gonna do at least 60 plus, and that's nothing to diss Limits, but I think the optimization for Squirtle combos has a way higher ceiling into what Limits is actually getting off of them initially.
I would agree. Squirtle takes a bit of practice for really getting unlock a lot of the like attack cancel stuff that you need to really extend hits off of forward tilt. Although with a lighter character like MetaKnight, it is harder to lock him down in those combos. You tend to have to worry about starting more combos, more consistently executing them.
Oh, I like the mix-up from Limit to get back to ledge.
Oh, and not committing to a button either after trying to get StimFly off.
Yeah, StimFly's landing game has actually not been too bad for this first half of the game.
Yeah, it's nice to see that stay consistent regardless of the character.
Right.
BowserJr. being his signature, but we've seen him pick... this isn't the first time I've seen his MetaKnight,
Right.
but I've also seen him pick Palutena a lot.
Interesting. One thing I do want to comment on is that StimulatingFly is getting a lot off these grabs. Limits is he seems to be getting stuck in shield a lot, and StimulatingFly is doing good at recognizing that and getting his grabs appropriately.
Yeah, especially because Limits is sticking at Squirtle for the most part and forced onto Ivysaur often. You can't really afford to get down tilted or dash attacked as Squirtle. So good on Limits for trying to equalize the stocks, but finding himself immediately at the corner is rough against MetaKnight.
Yeah, and I think that also is one of the better things about Ivysaur as well, is that his grab range is phenomenal. And once he gets a grab, there's a lot of stuff you can do off of it that can lead to possibly even a kill. Ivysaur up throw up air is ridiculous, especially on a stage like PS2 where you can extend into 2 more.
Definitely. Much like the same we're seeing how StimFly is able to push Limits and just sort of get a lot of damage off of playing at the ledge.
Nice jump read.
We see Limits doing the very same, only when he's Ivysaur, though. Curiously, we haven't seen a lot of action from Charizard.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. But honestly, in the Charizard MetaKnight matchup, I could see MetaKnight winning that pretty favorably. He's very fast on the ground, and I feel like Charizard wouldn't be able to anticipate anything. Oh, that was a nice roll read.
Yeah, forward smash.
There we go.
Like that.
That's the grab that I want to see from Limits. StimFly just staying in shield a little bit too long. Yep, there's the grab. Wow, he does that raw bear really fast. That's really good.
Yeah, back air is one of MetaKnight's best buttons. You can do a lot off the drag down from it. It threatens to kill, does decent damage.
One thing I've noticed is that StimFly really he's been trying to go off stage and make dividends trying to gimp Limits, but he hasn't really been able to do that. I feel like definitely MetaKnight's one of those characters that can go super low and easily make it back, no problem. I'd like to see a little bit of that from StimulatingFly. Other than that, he's playing very well.
Yeah, he's making this MetaKnight look fresh, but one too many rolls from the ledge is going to bring us to a game 3.
I hate that. I just hate it. Makes me so upset.
It's a long forward smash.
Yeah, and I've been in that situation multiple times where I'm like, hey, roll is the best option. It's not. Nope. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Do we see a switch? Probably back to BowserJr.
Junior will guarantee that StimFly is going to stick in the winner's side of bracket because he was looking really comfortable when he was playing as BowserJr.
But his MetaKnight, he really wasn't looking that bad.
Yeah, no, that still came down to high percentages on the last stock.
Yeah. I think Limits was, interesting. He counterpicks.
That actually changes the game a bit because now we have a far more difficult matchup, I feel, for BowserJr. at hand. Lucina loves picking at characters that have a bit slower buttons, rely on pretty linear ins, and are a bit weaker at the ledge.
Right, and I feel like this stage pick from StimulatingFly is kind of like against Lucina. It's kind of, I don't know. He was obviously going for the counter pick against Pokemon Trainer, but this stage honestly isn't that bad for Lucina. I don't think she really has a bad, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get you. It's because she's not really concerned about playing the stage. She's concerned about playing the ledge, and obviously all of the stages have ledges, so that's where she's fine.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
And this is one of the rare instances. I find a lot of people don't do this here, but no one really plays the counter pick game like that, where they leverage a character that can be good regardless of what stage they're brought to.
Right.
You do have to pick stage before characters.
That's very interesting coming out from Limits. But right now, it looks like he's doing really good. Wow, that was crazy. I've noticed that Limits is finding a lot of Stim's bad shield pressure. Stim is hitting his shield with forward air and back air, and Limits simply just grabbing him out of it. Stim's pressure is good, but not good enough. Oh, yeah. Wow. He was nervous.
It's that off-stage pressure where BowserJr. gets to shine because, as you're bringing up, the shield pressure, there really isn't much there from BowserJr. That's more just StimFly making really good decisions while he's in advantage.
Right.
But BowserJr. just doesn't really have the tools, and just like that, Limits brings us back to an even game.
Yeah, and that was crazy because Limits was doing really well that first stock, and he finds himself percent down on the second. Oh, just misses the confirm. What a jab.
That could kill?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, it didn't take the
Down
jump.
air. Nice. Good delay. And this is where Limits has to excel right here, keeping him on the ledge.
Yep.
Nice nair. You know what? A lot of people tend to get scared when Bowser Jr. is in that cart mode, but for no reason. You can literally just hit him out of it. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of unfamiliarity with the tools because if they're not in that spin out animation or if it's on the initial part, they're not hitting you for a lot, if they're hitting you at all.
Right. Wow, that's an interesting mix-up. He was kind of scared to go in there. You saw his hesitation?
Yeah, StimFly, he could have pushed further. But
Yeah,
he just
100%. He could have just jumped. Nice jump read. I love that. I feel like StimFly could be using the Mecha Koopa a little bit more than he has been.
It's a bit rough with this matchup because if you take the time to actually get the Koopa, for Lucina, that's enough time to get in and then like short hop fair you or dash attack or even just run up and grab.
Right.
So like, and the other projectile that he has at his disposal is way too slow.
Yeah, it honestly just depends how on top of StimulatingFly limits is. But I feel like with this big of a stage, like that Mecha Koopa just staying there to contest a space is really good for Bowser Jr. And that's it. Wow.
Ah, all right. Got the 2-frame
I'm
on
surprised that was a 2-frame.
I think it fell just past, it like rolled off the ledge a tiny bit.
Yeah, he spaced that pretty well. It went right next to the ledge. That was really nice.